Grasping last night in the grasp call. Should any play be unreviewable? How the NFL maybe messed that up. And also, the You're in Trouble series. And this panel's in trouble. George Sedano's here to undress all their finals takes. Let's go. Georgie. It's been 7 months. Missed my Sedano. Heat culture's here.
I missed you.
Lakers culture's here. This is great.
I didn't miss Isola, though.
Dragic doubtful, Adebayo questionable for Game 4. None of you thought was going to be pivotal, but now it is. If Game 3 could happen, is there any impossible for Jimmy Butler and these Miami Heat? I don't know. George, I want to start with you. I want you to come out swinging. What's the number one thing Miami could do tonight to encore Sunday's performance? And what's the number one thing the Lakers need to do tonight to ensure Game 3 doesn't happen again?
Tony, the number one thing I think for the Heat is health, and I think that there is a real possibility that we see Bam Adebayo today, and I think that also coincides with what the Lakers need to do, because Anthony Davis is the most important player for the Lakers in this series, and that's wild to say in a series where you have LeBron James. He has the biggest impact on this team, I think, because he is a mismatch, even for someone like Bam. He's basically what Bam wants to be down the road. I would also not be totally surprised and wouldn't rule out if Goran Dragic gives it a try in this series and maybe even tonight. So I think the Heat have found something, Tony, particularly with their offense. Their last 2 games, over 120 offensive rating. Their half-court offense has really given the Lakers a lot of trouble. The worst 2 half-court performances defensively for the Lakers this postseason has been games 2 and 3 in this
So what did, and let me bring Israel Gutierrez here in Miami, what do you think the Heat found offensively?
Well, I hate to be that person because I also picked Finals MVP as Bam Adebayo, but Bam not being there really opened up the paint for Jimmy. And if you watch on a lot of his drives, and if he drives to the side where Duncan Robinson is on the floor, that dude's not helping. So it's got to come from the other side, and Jimmy's really good at either drawing fouls or seeing, if he's got space, going ahead and finishing. So I think that Miami offense...
So wait, what are you saying right now? Don't come back, Adebayo. We've been all right. We don't need you, Bam.
I'm saying that they'll win a different way when it comes, if Bam Adebayo comes back. They will obviously be a little bit better defensively against Anthony Davis, but heck, in that last game they got him in foul trouble and he wasn't even on the floor. So offensively, the Heat can replicate that whether Bam plays or not. Defensively, that's going to be the issue. Anthony Davis is the man that turns this series. If he can play like his normal self, the Lakers are going to win. If Miami does something to alter his stats and you don't have another Markieff Morris 5 of 11 3-point shooting game, then the Lakers are probably going to lose again.
Frank Isola, we'll bring you in here. The one thing Miami needs to do tonight, one thing the Lakers need to do.
Well, getting Bam back will be huge, but unlike my friends from, who made their careers in Miami,
here we go.
I will focus on LeBron James, the guy that helped Miami win their last 2 championships.
Also
you guys remember him?
In Miami.
He was the best he was the best player.
Here we go. Fire and ice.
He'll be the best player on the court tonight. All right. First of all, the Lakers have lost 3 games in the playoffs. The very next game they've won by at least 12 points. LeBron and Anthony Davis had a total of 15 field goals, 13 turnovers. That will not happen again. Can Jimmy Butler play at a high level? I'm not so sure. Can Bam be effective? I'm not so sure. Can LeBron and Anthony Davis dominate a game? Yes, they can. And look at the way LeBron stormed off that court at the end of the game, almost defiant, knowing he's got to stay in the bubble an extra 3 days. Watch out for LeBron. And you guys should know that.
Okay. Oh, wait, hold on a second. In the middle there, you said, I'm not sure if Jimmy Butler can play at a high level. Wait, you want to be the one who tells him that?
No.
He just out-LeBron'd LeBron.
First year. No. LeBron's first year with Cleveland, he had to play at a ridiculous level to get them to a Game 6. Jimmy Butler's a great player. A 40-point triple-double is not that easy.
You said
One guy can do it consistently. He's on the other team.
I got to bring it to Don. I know Sedano and Israel want back at Isola, but Donde, please.
Yeah, well, Frank, I don't think it's about LeBron as much as it is about Anthony Davis. We've seen throughout the playoffs that the Lakers are at their best when he is their best player. LeBron's not going to have 8 turnovers again. Anthony Davis is going to play better. But I think you look at the room for improvement for the Heat. And I take away Bam Adebayo. We don't know if he's going to play. We don't know how effective he can be. But we know that Duncan Robinson and Tyler Hero can shoot better than the 10 for 30 that they shot in Game 3. They still managed to win that game. So I think even if inevitably Jimmy Butler comes down from that all-time high that he was at in Game 3, you get better shooting out of those 2 guys who are now engaged in the series, as we saw by the Tyler Hero snarl, who now have more confidence. That gives the Heat a chance.
Sedano back in.
Look, to J.A.'s point, 50-40-90. That's what the Heat shot in Game 2. 50-33-90 in Game 3. They have figured something out on offense that's going to put them in a position to at least stay in the game. They've also ditched the zone. They know that they're going to play Heat basketball. They're going to play man-on-man defense and try to make it more physical. I think that's their method behind their madness.
Regardless of who's on the floor, the trend from 1 to Game 2 to Game 3 has been going toward Miami. Now, can Anthony Davis and LeBron James snap their fingers, as Frank is insisting here, and turn that around? Yes, but that's got to be something on the coaching end. That's got to be something more than just, hey, I want those guys to score now.
That's word, Frank Isola.
Well, I think everyone is right about what Miami's been able to do, and I would be physical. But LeBron has been taking a lot of jumpers. I would expect Anthony Davis and LeBron to do what Jimmy Butler did. He had 26 points in the paint in Game 3. He was outstanding. Yeah. I think LeBron is going to do that tonight.
You think it's Lakers easy tonight, Frank? That's what everything you're saying is pointing.
Not
in
easy.
You said they won every game by 12 points or more coming off of a loss.
But I think the Lakers are going to win.
Israel?
Yeah.
One possession game, but I got the
Adonde?
Lakers.
I'm going with the Lakers.
Dono.
I got the Heat tying it up.
All right. You know Tyler Hero says he never made that face before in his life? Do you believe him? Do you believe that he's never made that face? I can find video of him in high school. He's going to be making that face. All right, we'll move on. Chiefs 26, Patriots 10, our next story. You want to start with the call or the result? Let's start with the call. How is this in real time? And then because in the grasp is not reviewable, how it stays forever and how it swings a whole game. Referee Tony Corrente says Mahomes was being, quote, controlled quite a bit, end quote, and for safety, that's his judgment call. Frank Isola, is it the right call?
No, it's the wrong call, but they proved last night they were going to protect the best quarterback in the league at all costs, or the best young quarterback. What about the unsportsmanlike conduct penalty when he ran out of bounds and he essentially flopped? Mm-hmm. Here was the problem for the Patriots, though. This was a team that had to fly into the game the morning of the game, and you're playing the Chiefs, and you're playing Patrick Mahomes, and you have everything going against you, including the referees. The officiating in this game, especially that call, was so poor, plus the 2 interceptions that New England should have had, plus the Brian Hoyer play on 3rd down when he never should have been sacked without a timeout. New England really blew this, but that call right there hurt them big time.
Are you saying the Patriots could have beaten the Chiefs if Cam played and they didn't have everything that went into this weekend for them, Frank?
I think Kansas City probably would have taken them a little more seriously. I think they would have played better, but they need Cam at quarterback. That's pretty obvious.
It's just got to be so frustrating that you already know going in that you have to play perfectly, essentially, to beat this team. And then you're going in on this crazy schedule. You're going in without your starting quarterback. And then you have the referees seemingly working against you in what should have been or could have been a huge call. Now, obviously, the way things transpired didn't really come out to two or 3 point game, but it was something that sort of can take the wind out of you if you're going on the road to try to grab a sort of steal a win there. So while I don't think it was any difference in the game, it was something that sort of in a crazy way made you feel sorry for Bill Belichick.
Adonde?
Never happened.
I just keep going back to the language that the referee used. Quite a bit. He was in the grasp quite a bit. Yeah. That's the threshold now? I mean, where in replay it has to be indisputable. Now, that's something definitive, right? Indisputable. Quite a bit is a rationale to justify calling him down.
But is in the grasp ever indisputable, I guess, is my question. And should it be reviewable, or can't be reviewable because it's so judgmental?
It should be reviewable. I don't know how you define it. I mean, that's the thing. They have to define it. If they can ask the officials to define it in real time, then they should be able to define it in a replay.
And George Dano?
Yeah, not only is it a bad break for New England, but to your point, it is a bad rule. The fact that you can't challenge something is silly. And we've seen this in review sports across the board, whether it's basketball, whether it's the NFL, college football. We've seen these situations where coaches should easily be able to challenge something and reverse it and help their teams, and then they're not allowed to. And by the way, if Cam was there, I think they'd win. This New England defense has been fantastic against Patrick Mahomes. 3 times he's been held without a touchdown in the first half, all 3 against
everything you just said, though, about reviewing every call, George. Didn't we see that with pass interference, and didn't that prove to be something that was unsustainable in review?
Well, look, I think some of these calls are judgment calls, right? But pass interference, I think, is one of those situations where you literally have 2 guys jockeying for position. I mean, Patrick Mahomes was trying to throw the football. What are we arguing about here? His arm was already up. They didn't blow the whistle when his arm was up. To me, that's the difference.
Chiefs offense, that's 2 games where they've been out of sorts. How much of that you think was the delay, and how much was Belichick, and how much is that Casey needs to do some work here, Jay?
Patrick Mahomes did say that that extra day off when they couldn't use the facility threw them off and they were out of rhythm. But you have to give Belichick credit, too. And it's not just the scheme. It's his ability to guess what Andy Reid wants to do. And so you drop into the cover 2 at the right time, or you bring the pressure at the right time. That's unique to Bill Belichick. I don't think other teams can duplicate that.
We'll move on. Last night's other game, Packers 30, Falcons 16. Rodgers near perfect without his number 1 and number 2 receiver. And Green Bay's offense, number 1 scoring in the league right now at the quarter pole. J.A., how real is all that? Could this be the NFC's best team?
The numbers look pretty real to me. No turnovers so far. Aaron Rodgers has only been sacked 1, 2, 3 times. You just saw him count it out. Only 3 sacks for Aaron Rodgers, and he's leading the league in QBR. I don't know how much stock you want to put in that metric, but it's worth something. He's right up there among the great quarterbacks in the league. Still.
Yeah, listen, I'm buying the Packers as the best team in the NFC for this reason. They are number 1 in point differential and number 1 in yards per attempt. You look at those 2 stats, they're quite indicative of how successful the team is in the postseason.
Gutierrez?
Shout out to all those who said Aaron Rodgers needs more weapons, more Devontae Adams. Not really. He can take an undrafted tight end and make him into a superstar. And frankly, that sort of speaks to the marriage and the harmony that LaFleur's offense and Aaron Rodgers are sort of feeling in this, second go-around, this second season, where he's sitting there counting the touchdowns to Tanyan after his third one. And it's just like, oh, okay, he doesn't need anybody special. He's the special guy.
Frank Isola.
Yeah, they made the NFC title game last season. They're better this year. And to Izzy's point, just look at the way Aaron Rodgers is playing. They're taking guys off the practice squad, and within no time, he's throwing the ball around, spreading it around to everyone. He's just playing at such a high level, along with Russell Wilson and Patrick Mahomes. It's those 3 quarterbacks and then everybody else.
Well, that almost answers my question, but nobody answered the question. Could they be the best team in the NFC? Sedano, yell it out.
I did!
Adonde,
I did.
Gutierrez, Isola, answer the question.
Yes,
They could be. Oh, my goodness, you guys. I love when I push you back here. You get so small and I get so big.
He didn't say LeBron. He said that.
We're taking a break right now. Oh, something else from last night. Rodgers and also very Falconsy yelling hard count to get them on a hard count. That absolutely happened last night. Yankees-Rays, game 2 in 3 hours. Davey Garcia versus Tyler Glasnow. How New York finds themselves up 1-0 and how they always find themselves when it's going well for them. Over the fence. 11 home runs in 3 playoff games, grand slams in back-to-back playoff games. Stanton's dagger late last night. Takeaway from last night and how it affects tonight. George Sedano, first to you.
Tony, I think that clearly they're a softball team, right? So we've established that, but that's something that we knew. But I was impressed with their pitching staff. Look, Garrett Cole did give up 3 runs, but he had 8 strikeouts. He now has 21 strikeouts in his first 2 playoff appearances. Only Tim Lincecum and Bob Gibson have done better in their first 2 playoff starts with their respective teams. So their pitching was fantastic, and I think that is what will carry them moving forward.
Donde?
All you need to know is that the Yankees scored 9 runs last night, and their runs per average went down because they'd been averaging 11 runs per game going into that. Yeah, Garrett Cole just basically qualified for a quality start, which is nice. They don't have to be that great when the lineup is putting that many runs on the board.
Gutierrez?
Agreed. 13-0 is a record of teams who out-homer the opponent in the playoffs so far. So Yankees seem like they're in pretty good shape. 3 games in a row for Giancarlo Stanton hitting home runs, and that dude is as streaky as they come. The Yankees are going to love him if he stays on this streak for a while.
I've heard from this panel in the past, live by the home run, die by the home run. Frank, are you going to rain on the Yankees parade here in New York?
Yeah, it's still eventually going to have to come down to pitching because we've seen this with the Yankees before. But Izzy mentioned 3 straight homers for Stanton. I'm just happy he's actually playing in 3 straight games. That's been the issue. He's never healthy. Same thing with Aaron Judge. But Tony, how about Gio Urshela at third base, having kind of a Greg Nettles throwback? Ask Tony's dad about it. He knows right now.
Okay, thanks for the 40-year-old reference.
At the hot corner.
So even though Tampa owned the season series against New York, everybody thinks New York's going to win this series because they came out hitting so strong yesterday. All right, I'm not going to forget that. Points or mutes coming your way next. Buy or sell 2, Deshaun Watson today. Bill O'Brien's gone, but everything Bill O'Brien did for the Texans still around. Houston 0-4. They don't have DeAndre Hopkins. They still don't have a draft pick until the 3rd round next year. J.A., buy or sell Watson being able to survive that, and buy or sell the Texans moving forward from O'Brien the way they did.
I'm selling it. It's the wrong time. Apparently, the right time would have been when he was beefing with DeAndre Hopkins. I always say, if you're going to choose between a coach and a player and you choose the coach, you better be committed to that coach. And the Texans weren't.
Gutierrez?
I mean, he left them without an identity. That's sort of my whole thinking when it comes to Bill O'Brien's tenure in Houston. What are they exactly? I have complete faith that Deshaun Watson can recover and continue to be a superstar quarterback in the NFL, but under Bill O'Brien, that wasn't happening, so I think the timing is just fine.
Frank Isola?
Well, that's fair, Izzy, but it's still about Deshaun Watson if he is a franchise quarterback and you're 0-4. If Lamar Jackson were 0-4, Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, we would look at them a lot differently. He needs to be better. You can get rid of the coach. The quarterback needs to get better.
George Sedano?
Tony, he's a good coach, but he put himself in harm's way, kind of like Littlefinger in Game of Thrones, tried to amass too much power, and at the end, it was over for him.
He's not Littlefinger, though. He's like Big Cleft is what he was. He was Big Cleft.
Did he change his
And you're gonna
accent
go
every
for his This team was up 24-0 on the Chiefs about 9 months ago. You tell them now they'll be looking for a coach and they'll be 0-4. And that's just an incredible whiplash. We'll move on. Buy or sell 3, Armando Salguero, Miami Herald. Brian Flores tangled in contradiction. Flores said 2 is healthy, but he also said he's not rushing to throw him in a game because of media pressure. He's got to think of it like a father coming back from that injury that he had. Fitzpatrick starts week 5 for Miami, Israel. Buy or sell Flores' thought process here.
I'm going to buy it, if only because Ryan Fitzpatrick has not been awful. He's been essentially keeping them in games, and I think they want to see him in a game before they commit to starting him. So maybe if a game gets away from Fitzpatrick, you go to Tua, and then the era begins the next game.
Isola?
Patience, Grasshopper. We just talked about Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes. They didn't play their first years. Give it time. He'll be fine. There must be something with the hip. I think he'll eventually get in there, but much later in the year.
Dono?
To that point, did we all forget that this was the injury that Bo Jackson had and everyone was wondering if this kid would even have a career? The fact that he would take his time and say, you know what, we're going to make sure he's 100% healthy. He's only in his early 20s. He's still growing as a person and as a man. Like, I am absolutely buying everything that Flores did.
Adonde?
Yeah, I'm buying it for the reasons, and if I could hit the high note like Philip Bailey, I would, but the reasons that Brian Flores gave, he's putting the concerns of the athlete ahead of everything else, and that's a rarity in NFL, and it's refreshing.
All right. Gutierrez and Frank Isola. This is like O'Brien. It's not because of what you did as a coach. It's what you did as a GM that you're getting eliminated for right now. Yes.
On my chin.
Take it on the chin right here, Isola. Sedano, Adonde. Showdown for Sedano in his first show back in 7 months. Next. To Showdown with Love, George Sedano, J.A. Adonde. Dodgers, Padres, Game 1. It's Walker Buehler versus Mike Clevenger. For the season, the split was 6-4 L.A. How pivotal is tonight's pivotal Game 1, Georgie?
It's very pivotal if you're the San Diego Padres because Mike Clevenger was traded for this reason. And he's got an advantage. Only Mookie Betts and Max Muncy have actually seen an at-bat against him.
Yeah, it's pivotal for the Padres. Can they keep that vibe going that they had? I mean, they were really feeling themselves in the Cardinals series. I'm just too freaked out about the sight of the Astros scoring 10 runs in Dodger Stadium. That's just sacrilegious to me. Should not be happening.
I'll give you both a point. We'll split it. We'll move on. Storm Aces, Game 3. Seattle going for the sweep. Do they get it, J.A. Adonde?
Yes, look, it's a matter of when, not if. Sue Bird's never lost in a championship round at any stage in her career, and her and Breanna Stewart just have it going on right now. Vegas has no answer.
They're the best 1-2 punch in the league right now, Tony. Best net rating of a duo in the sport. It's not going to be close, I think.
Not going to be close. Did you say Sue Bird never lost a championship round in her entire
Championship round.
WNBA and college career, of course? It probably goes back through high school. You know, there's a debate in Seattle over who's the peak performer all time in Seattle sports history. Everyone wanted to say Russell Wilson. Well, I think that would suggest it's Sue Bird. And if it's not Sue Bird, then it's Breanna Stewart. We'll split that point. We'll move on. Finally, the Packers. They're up in the bye week now. And this year, that means Aaron Rodgers has to stick around Green Bay. And here's what he said, quote, "It sucks. It totally sucks." End quote. George, can he say that? That he's stuck in Green Bay and it sucks for the bye week?
What I would say to the folks in Wisconsin is relax, okay? He's got to get tested during the bye week, which means if he misses 2 tests, he could be suspended for a game. I think that's his
I can relate. Look, he's from California. He'd have the option to go home to California. I can understand where he's coming from.
George, it's been so long. Take a trip to FaceTime George Sedano.
Thank you, Tony. Listen, it's been 7 months since I've been on this show, and about 7 months ago, we were wondering if we'd have sports altogether, let alone an NBA Finals. I want to give the NBA a lot of credit. They went into the bubble despite a lot of criticism, and they took their time to get it right, and looks like they will finish an NBA Finals in a time where we all wondered aloud, what will the world look like and what will the sports world look like? Credit to Adam Silver and company for that.
NBA, WNBA, NWSL, NHL all made it to the finish line this year.
MLS.
Good to do it, folks. 23.5 hour break. See you tomorrow.